Yeah, yeah. Fresh out the cell with a plan and a boo. Anklet beeping, but my heart's beating for you. Let's go. Met her on a prison pen pal site. She said you cute even in that orange light. Now I'm home and I'm free, kinda on probation. She picked me up in a Prius, pure elation. Got a teardrop tat and a heart full of dreams. She brought cupcakes and some government cheese. I said, girl, you a snack, maybe even a feast. She said, you just hungry cause you live with the beast. Love after lockup, wild and free. Got no keys, but she got the key to me. From yard time to FaceTime, look at us glow. From prison phone calls to reality show. Love after lockup, we don't play. Tinder got nothing on JPay. I did my time, now I'm doing hers. Doing laundry and love, both in spurts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love After Lockup, Lockdown, where we are covering Season 1, Episode 6. As always, you can find us in our Facebook group, Love After Lockup, Lockdown, or on Instagram at LALU Lockdown. I am Jennifer.
And I am Lisa.
And this week, we discuss Season 1, Episode 6, Race to the Altar.
That's a good name for this one. Considering, I don't want to give away the spoilers.
You gotta stick with us through the whole episode to get all the good spoilers.
Yep, all the way through. So we were discussing what we should start out our random conversations with before we dive into the episode. And we can't just keep doing what we're watching because it's like I kind of watch all the same things until I switch it up. But I thought about random shout outs to things, just literally anything. And the one I thought of today was I'm driving down a country road as I do every day with my job, and I see the sign that says pass with care. And I'm thinking, how else do you pass people on a road other than with care? So this is the spot where you need to pass with care, but every other place that you can pass, just pass with reckless abandonment.
Just gun it.
Just gun it and just pass. Like, who decides this? And I'm sitting there and I'm going, who decides this? And I'm looking and I'm like, do they sit at this point and do they look ahead and do they see if you can actually pass and how many minutes you'd have to pass safely?
This week we start off with Garrett and Johnna. It seems like we frequently start off with Garrett and Johnna.
Yeah, because they're the biggest just messes out of the entire. They're a collective mess. So why not?
She's talking to her dad about being engaged, and he's obviously, as he's made perfectly clear, not excited about this at all.
Yeah, she hasn't told him yet, and she's freaking out about telling him. And she knows what's gonna happen, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, this is exactly how I would have thought he would act in this whole scene. And she tells dad, and he goes, "Oh, okay."
She's in denial. I mean, just absolute denial about everything here.
He's not excited. He hopes it doesn't go past proposal. I get it. I agree.
She says, and she's mentioned this several times on her time on the show, she wants him to walk her down the aisle. And he's like, I totally will do that. Just not now, not with this person. Like, make it a real wedding for a real reason, and I'll be right there to walk you down the aisle.
I find myself wondering what exactly her dad would be happy with. We don't know who she dated before. We don't know. We know they all ended, and we know there was 9 of them, but we don't know why. We don't know if he liked any of them. We don't know if any of them were ones she let get away or she scared away or who knows.
Yeah.
But he says make sure you're happy instead of rushing into marriage, and I have no idea why she's rushing into. I just don't see any point in it. I do not see any point in rushing into this.
If you're going to spend the rest of your life together, then it would be okay to wait however long, right? Because it doesn't matter. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter.
they're so young too. She's acting like as if there's no time left. We have to go. We have to rush, rush, rush. Most people don't even get married until they're 30 now and have kids. They're still having kids in their 40s. And this is just not like, is it, she's very like old school. Like, all right, I'm 24 years old. The clock is ticking. I think she's 24. Who knows? I lost track. But she definitely doesn't need to just rush right into marriage. They can even like wait a year. Like a year is not an eternity. They can just wait.
They could wait 6 months. I mean, they could just
Yeah,
wait at all. It all happened so quickly. But her dad responded in the way that I loved so much, you know. I love when he does this. He says, "I'm done with it," and throws his drink on the ground.
it's it just that type of dad. Oh gosh. He's just that typical dad, that guy. He's that guy. He also says, "I guarantee you fight now." And I'm like, "Dad, little do you know, fighting has started from the beginning and it never has ended."
Unless they only showed the scenes where they were fighting, the whole relationship must have been absolutely miserable. They make it seem like the relationship from the second they meet each other or get together, whatever, it's just red flags from each of them. You know what I mean? And then them also going, it's fine, we're still going to get married.
I don't think either of them smile. I don't know if I literally have seen either one of them smile.
Not
It's just they just look miserable. Just imagine. I mean, they record a lot, and they just imagine just having to clip the miserable parts, the parts where they look miserable. If there's only a few of them, they
right.
have like an extreme amount of misery that they're using. Oh, did you even ask him if he wants to get married? And she says no.
Who asked her that?
The dad goes, did you ask him if he even wants to get married?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, because that comes along later where she asks him, unless you just
right.
want to let it go.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why he's frustrated if this is like the ninth time this has happened. Next up, we have Andrea and Lamar, and the wedding is in a month.
Yeah, oh gosh. I was furiously writing here. You know, she says, Lamar's not perfect and neither am I. And they're 700 miles away right now, which is nuts.
Right. And she's doing her wedding dress shopping.
And it's in a month. So it's,
She better pick it out. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And of course, she tells the lady at the dress shop about their situation with Lamar having been in prison because that's the information you share with everybody.
So we didn't talk about the fact that you and I watched this episode together because you were here staying with me for the weekend. And we both were in shock when she says that he was in prison for over 15 years. Andrea.
I mean,
And this goes on.
technically it was over 15 years.
Technically, but this keeps on going. So she's cutting it back because I don't know, for some reason to her 15 sounds better than 18 and a half. It's not even 18, it's over 18. It's like you may as well say almost 19, not for over 15. That is a big discrepancy.
It doesn't make any sense. Like the amount you're cutting it down isn't significant enough to affect anyone's opinion of what happened.
But this just proves that she's so dishonest about everything and how much she just lies, freely lies about stuff and is dishonest.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
So she likes the long sleeve dresses because she needs a shop that caters to Mormons with modest dresses. And she tries on this dress. And I'm like, is that a modest dress? That didn't look like a modest dress to me.
So I think what I gathered from what they were saying is you pick out the dress that you like, and then there is a seamstress, whether it be someone in the Mormon community or not, that will add up like the chest cover and put sleeves on a dress, so you can pick out whatever dress you want, and then it has to be modified to fit within the Mormon standards.
Ah, I missed that. Okay, that makes more sense. Because that was just like a straight up regular dress. That wasn't modest at all, in my opinion.
And during this time, while she's trying on the dresses, Lamar Skypes her for the first time.
When she's in the dress, hello, you're not supposed to do that. That is bad luck. Why are you
Maybe
doing
it
that?
wasn't the one she was going to choose.
But it doesn't matter. What if it was? What if at the last minute she was like, this is the one I choose, and then that's why they break up?
Could be. Bad luck.
Did you notice Nyla actually looked happy for once? It was the first time I ever saw Nyla look happy.
I didn't notice that.
Hmm.
Nyla, I mean, she's at that age, though. You know, at that age, as a young girl, you feel everything is awful.
Hmm.
So, this is when Lamar tells Andrea that he can't come to Utah to meet the kids. And of course, she accuses him of lying.
I wasn't shocked by that one.
No, I wasn't either. And she gets mad at him, like, more mad than makes sense to me. But then at the end, they're just like, oh, everything's fine again.
Why is she so quick to what happened to her? I wonder that is makes her so quick to think that her significant other is lying or deceptive. It has to be something she went through that's just making her think that just all men are like that. That would be a pretty significant thing to lie about, and probably something she could actually look into herself if she thought he was lying. I'm sure she could have access to his parole officer, especially
Hmm.
if they're going to be married, you know?
Yeah. Next up is Lizzie and Scott. And Shar comes to see why he's been ignoring her. And she confronts him about him continuing to send money to Lizzie.
Yeah. He's cutting the bushes, and Ishar gets there, and she says he hasn't been answering the phone, and he goes, This is better than drinking." He's
Right.
cutting the bushes instead of drinking.
Those are the only two options.
Yeah, she's making snide comments about maybe you should send her some more money. Maybe you didn't send her enough money. And at this point, I'm like, all right, I think that you should be being a jerk like that because she was nice, she's been nice, and now it's just like frustrating.
Right.
This kind of proves our theory about maybe there is something between these two, and maybe Shar likes him, or maybe they had a past or something.
She does suggest that he has a relationship that doesn't involve his finances, which is a completely fair suggestion.
It definitely is. He says, "I love her," but that doesn't mean you do these things. There's and the fact that they just really they don't know each other enough to be doing this sort of thing. You really don't know this person, and all he's doing is just like just throwing money at her, and he can't see that that's literally what's like keeping this alive. Just the fact that he's got money, well, he probably doesn't have money, but he's finding the money to and the type of life she's going to have when Scott's dug himself in all of this debt after she
Right.
gets out.
And then this is where we find out that he just paid $14,000 for a lawyer for her new charges.
That is crazy.
And he says, she's a mess, but everything is fixable. No, sir, that is incorrect.
She's just done, and she literally leaves and says, I'm not going to sit around and watch you hang yourself." And he throws the garden shears. She's just done with him.
Mm-hmm. And he tells Liz that he's going to be there for her no matter what.
Did he mean he was going to be there for Lizzie or Shar Liz?
He told Liz that he would be there with her.
Oh, he told. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're
Lizzie,
saying.
yeah. Next up is Dominic and Mary is going wedding dress shopping. Did you have an opinion on those dresses?
No, I was just kind of like this was similar to the tuxedo thing. It's like now she's trying to I don't know. What was your opinion?
I thought the second dress was ugly. She's a pretty girl, but that dress was just not it.
Yeah. But you have to try on when you go in, I don't know how long it's been for you, but you go in and you kind of tell them what your idea is, and they pick things out for you or help you, and it's not always the best, and then they kind of tell you don't shop off the hanger, we and then they kind of know what to pick for you or push you along for certain things.
She says she's disappointed that he wants to wait to get married, but he can't face groups, he can't face loud noises, he can't face like lots of people. So it doesn't sound like, as somebody who is like that, why would you want to be around, like put yourself in a position where you have to be around loud noises, lots of people?
Well, this is her just not listening to that and her wanting what she wants. They're going to have a high-end venue in Toronto and have a great time. And
Next up is Alla and James, and James goes to visit Chris.
yeah, so they're having beers in the yard. And also I noticed that Chris's house isn't as fancy as I thought it was. I thought when I saw that like courtyard they were in the first time around, and I kind of saw a little bit of the house, I thought, well, that's kind of fancy. But then they showed like the garage and the backyard and stuff, and then the front of the house. And I'm like, it's not as great as I thought. Maybe Chris isn't that uppity. Maybe he just makes sense.
James complained to Chris that Alla had been late to the interview. And Chris is like, oh, the reason she's been acting weird is because she's knocked up. Come on, my guy. That is not
I
necessary.
I laughed. I think I wrote that one really quick. Yeah, it's just like, why was she late for the appointment? And it's just like, I know he goes, girl is an ex junkie. And he's just like, this is so insulting right in front of his face, and no one seems to care.
I don't know. Like, the thing is he's honest. The stuff he's saying isn't untrue. It's just the stuff that most people won't say, you know?
He's insinuating the exact same thing that we said. And he was talking about her getting sick and throwing up. And meanwhile, James is all about like the pregnancy thing, and Chris is like, hey, hold on a minute here, pal. Have you thought about her using again, and that's why she's throwing up? And that's where we all went with it.
Right. And he was like, oh, that hadn't even occurred to me.
Oh, you don't say.
I am shocked.
He says, I have never experienced addiction before. Do you think? Maybe
Right.
you should have read up a little bit about it. It's like literally he has been ignoring that major elephant in the room the entire freaking time.
But he also claims that he would know if she were using. How would you know if you have zero experience with drugs or addicts?
It's he's Chris goes, I'm not being a dick, I'm being realistic, and then says nobody can give James advice. And I'm starting to see that now. I'm starting to see that people are going, hey, dummy. And and that's, I think now we know that it's not the reason why he's not introducing her to his family is not that they're not going to like her. They may like her, they may like her as a person, what have you. It has nothing to do with Alla as an actual person. It has to do with her past, is they're going to say all the same things that Chris is saying, and he doesn't want to hear it from his family because maybe what his family has to say would weigh heavier to him than what Chris has to say, and he's afraid that he'll give up.
Right. But he
He
gets,
says about the zero tolerance policy too.
yeah, right. If she starts using, then he's going to be done with her, is what he says. But ultimately, he gets mad at Chris and he just gets up and leaves.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear the truth at this point. He just does not want to hear the truth.
Right. Next up, we are back to Dominic and Mary, and he shows up with flowers, which is a nice change from where we've seen him previously.
Mhm. I think at this point he's probably had a little bit of time to decompress and actually like think about and process the fact that he's out now, even though he's not completely free. He's out. He's probably a little bit more relaxed. I think that she just had to give him a second, you know?
Right?
It's a second.
Let him breathe for a minute.
Mhm.
She didn't tell him that she was dress shopping, which was probably a smart choice. Why
Yeah.
stress him out about something like that?
She's even like, she's shocked that he's there, first of all. She's like, "What are you doing here?" And then the flowers on top of it, and she's happy, and all of a sudden it seems to be going in the right direction, let's say. He says, Jail changes everything about you." And she says, "You used to be really outgoing," because, she used to be a party girl, and this is how she met him, and this was a
Right.
different time.
So they're both different. She's changed and calmed down significantly from the way it sounds. And he says that prison changed him. He doesn't think that she's able to understand that, which realistically she wouldn't. If you haven't experienced it, you don't know what you would do until you're in that situation.
Yeah, she says, if you don't tell me how I can help you, I can't help you. And that's the thing. If he needs help, he needs to tell her. He has to tell her what he needs. And it seems like she's willing to help him.
Yeah, that's a fair statement. Tell me what I can do to make things better for you. Then he comes out and says, "Hey, I love you and I still want to get married." He just does not want a big wedding. I think that's what he's focused on. Like, I love you, and if this is about us getting married, then we've got it. But if it's about a wedding, then it's not in the cards right now for me.
Yeah, but it seems like they did ultimately agree to like some sort of small wedding. And then, of course, the scene ends with him saying, "Come here." And then he takes her top off behind the frosted glass.
Next up are Andrea and Lamar, and they are praying over dinner.
Yeah. So obviously not Lamar, but Andrea and the kids are praying at the table. And she says this weekend Lamar was supposed to come, but he can't because he's not approved to come.
Did you notice that everyone was drinking out of champagne flutes?
No, I didn't, but that was a good catch.
Extra
Fancy,
fancy.
fancy. Only for the Mormon, only the best for the Mormons.
And and so they're going to California to visit Lamar.
Yeah, and they have to leave at 3 a.m. And so they're frantically packing, and she's saying, "You want to meet him, don't you?" And she's again saying 15 years, again saying 15
Yeah, it
years.
doesn't make any sense at all. She mentions that Priscilla is not Lamar's kid. And all I'm
Mhm.
saying is the timing is not adding up. They've been together for like a year longer. So I don't know. I don't know.
She
Stay
has
tuned.
this girl, like, she has her convinced that this is her dad, though, and she's calling him Papa. So she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do this with the older two. She just does this with Priscilla, who's got an impressionable mind, and she's literally probably had her convinced since she was really little,
Right.
because or not even born yet. I don't know, because the time is like weird. He writes Priscilla letters and draws her art, and basically makes her think Lamar's just literally her dad,
Right.
and it's weird.
That's where they leave it. Nyla is skeptical, as she has been. She doesn't seem particularly interested in going on the trip. And
The kids seem more reasonable than she does, don't they? They seem like
entirely, they said, the kids challenge her, saying the family isn't going to be complete with Lamar. It already is complete. Because she's
yeah.
in the mindset that once Lamar is with them, then their family will be whole.
Yeah, I mean, they say us meeting him is just like meeting an acquaintance, and that's absolutely true. They say it's not going to be an instant family like you think, and they're just way more rational than she is. And these kids are barely teenagers and they're more rational than this adult woman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Tennyson says, hey, this is a stressful situation, so you can tell that it's weighing on the kids. Next up, Johnna and Garrett, and they are cake tasting. They say, how many guests will you have? And Johnna says, 150. And the woman says, okay, you get, I can't remember how many, 4 or 5 flavors. And Garrett's like, wait, I want this flavor also. So he decides that they should cut 50 guests so that they could get an extra cake flavor on their wedding cake.
I was so confused about this math with this cake flavors. I didn't understand it, but it kind of made it seem like Garrett wanted a specific flavor, and it was one that, of course, Johnna didn't want. So he was like, I want to do this in order to get my cake flavor because she wasn't just agreeing on the cake flavor he wanted to just give the damn guy a cake flavor that he wants. What's going on here?
If I understood what was happening better, I would have a stronger opinion on it, but I don't know what the hell was going on from that little snippet.
I just felt like he wanted a flavor. She didn't want that flavor, and it was weird. I don't know. It's just like arguing over everything. That's the thing. That's the over and above everything else. It's just this is yet another thing to argue about freaking cake flavors.
It's always something.
Yeah.
And then they do a commercial break and they come back. So this is a new scene. And here she's driving to confront him at work.
Oh, that seems like a great idea.
That's
Why would you do this to him?
why would you do this? Why would you go to somebody's work to talk to them about something? Wait till they get off.
It had to be talked about right then and there while he's rolling silverware. I mean, it was important.
He walks away to talk to her, and like even as he's walking away, he's like, I am probably in so much trouble over this. But he does it anyway. Which is weird. Why are you risking your job over somebody you don't like? Is it just because you need a place to stay?
Well, he says the giving her the ring didn't calm her down. That's his wisdom. But he gave it just goes to show that statement right there. He's just trying to at this point shut this girl up. And like you said, just a place to live. And he didn't give her that ring and propose to her because he wants to be married to her. Clearly, you don't say things like that about a person you want to be with.
Exactly. She asks him why he asked her to marry him. I'm surprised he didn't say, just to make you shut up and leave me alone. But, he calls her a daddy's girl, which is no surprise.
Oh yeah, you think?
It wasn't even really an insult, it was just a statement of fact.
He says, I love you very much and you're an amazing woman. And I really wanted to throw up right at that moment.
It's so weird because that's such polar opposite of what we've seen.
Yeah. He says, why put on a big show? And then she said, that's what women want. Okay. So this just proves this is all she wants. She doesn't want, like, she needed to be one of those women that marries her dog or marries like a cardboard cutout of The Rock. Or I don't know why that's who I chose, but I mean, just like she should have married anything. What did Pee Wee Herman marry on Pee Wee's Playhouse
Who
because he
did he
loved it
marry?
so much? Pee Wee Herman,
Oh, yeah, if
remember
you
he
love it so
married
much, why don't
something.
you marry it?
Why don't you marry it? But he did actually have marry something that he loved so much, but I don't remember what it was. But that just shows our age. But I mean, literally, if she wanted to get married this bad, it would just have a freaking marry your BFF and a fake wedding. This is all she wants. But then, Jonna, what happens after the big party and after the hoopla and after everyone sees how wonderful and gorgeous you are and you have this big party? Then what? Because the wedding is one day, and then you might have a vacation where you'll fight the entire time, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he says, why don't we elope? And she says, I'll think about it. Now,
Yeah.
I think it's entirely unrealistic to think that she would want to elope with how many times she has just said that she wants her dad to walk her down the aisle. I mean, that one thing she's stated over and over again. So that's important to her.
But he could still, even if they had a little wedding, or even if they went to the courthouse, or even if they got married on a beach, what is to stop dad from being there and still walking her down whatever you say the aisle is? If that's what she wants, you can still have that. You don't need a $100,000 wedding in order to
Right.
have your dad walk you down an aisle.
You can have a handful of guests. You don't
Mhm.
need 150 guests. Or maybe you do, I don't know, but if you do, marry somebody else who also needs that
Yeah.
or sees value in it. And you can find people like that. Next up, Lamar and Andrea. And at this point, he has been out for 15 days. And they're driving to meet Andrea, and the kids are driving to meet Lamar. And Tennyson says, LA is so ugly. And Nyla says she's
And
nervous to meet Lamar. Understandably, wouldn't you be?
yeah, absolutely. Andrea saying, don't be rude, don't be cynical, don't be facetious. And at some point, she asks Nyla to call Lamar, and because Andrea gets lost again.
Right.
Why are I don't know. And Nyla doesn't want to call, and then she tells Tennyson to call.
Tennyson is mature beyond his years.
Yeah.
Tennyson does say that he's worried about Andrea's safety, which is a fair statement. I mean, her kids don't know much about him.
Yeah. I feel like they're afraid for their own safety too, but I like that he used, my mom as he's probably feeling just scared for all of them. Like we said,
Probably.
they don't know anything about being in prison or prisoners. All they know is what they see like on TV, movies, things like that. And so they're scared, and she's not understanding that, and she's definitely just forcing this on them, and she's not giving them any comfort in any of this. She's just like, this is your daddy now, that's
Right.
it.
Exactly. And they get there, and Nyla won't get out of the car. Andrea decides that the best way to handle this is to offer Nyla money to get out of the car.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. She winds up offering her 20 and then $40, and then I think in the end it was like she had to buy her a new bathing suit. Tennyson asks him what he went for prison for, and Nagla says he was a gang member.
She's got smart kids. You can't deny that. The two older kids are really smart and aware, I think, more so than she is.
She's pulling at straws. She's like, "Oh, this is a nice little room." She's kind of like trying to like talk them into like, "Oh, look, this is a great,
Right.
how nice this is." And it's like the kids are like, what the frick? What's going on here?" She's just she's in la la land. These poor kids.
And then she brings up again that Lamar isn't Mormon, which you have always known. I
Mhm.
still don't believe that Lamar ever gave any indication to her that he had any interest in becoming Mormon.
We didn't hear anything about that at all. He never mentioned it. It was never said. She never said it. It's never been mentioned whatsoever. Not that I've heard of so far. We didn't even hear anything as far as the type of wedding and whether there's a different traditions for Mormon wedding. We didn't hear any of that
No,
whatsoever.
no. And she decides that they need to get married ASAP.
He's not he's not disagreeing with any of this though. We have to
No,
say that. Like
no.
he's literally not.
He seems fine with the situation.
Mhm.
Alla and James, and she is 16 days out. She's panting and moaning off screen.
Mhm. As we were watching this, we had a question as to how often they follow them around, how often they record, whether or not this sound bite was recorded ahead of time. whether that was actually him entering into the bathroom while she was overdosing, because how would this all work out where they just so happen to be recording at the time that she's overdosing in the bathroom?
Right. And he's calling her at that time. That's very coincidental.
Yeah. So I just want to know if this was all recreated.
It's possible.
Hmm.
He says that he's going to ask her if she's using, and he expects that she's going to be honest about it. Again, there's this denial or the fact that he's uneducated about addiction and drugs. He must be entirely uneducated. Like, even a basic public school knowledge would tell you to pay attention to what's happening.
Yeah. Well, the fact that his dad is a police officer too, who's I don't think there's a police officer out there who hasn't dealt with a drug overdose or many drug addicts,
Right.
people on the street, what have you. So there, unless dad never talked about work at all, I find it hard to believe that that dad wouldn't educate the kids on why not to do this, why not to be this way, because I see this, because I see that, you know.
Yeah. Having knowledge of something and having experience with something is very different. You can hear about something every day, but until you experience it, it's hard to understand, I think. So she's panting and crying, laying on the ground of the bathroom. Uh, to no one's surprise, she relapsed.
Hmm.
And they wrap up the episode there. And that's all we know at this point. Who is your VIP this week?
I went with Nyla because she said he was a gang member, and she just threw it out there to to her little sister who has no idea what gang member meant, and to Tennyson, who I'm sure they've talked about it behind closed doors.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. My VIP this episode was Johnna's dad, of course, for throwing his drink, because you know how much I love it when he does that. So that's about it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, head over to Apple or Spotify to rate and review. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our group on Facebook at Love After Lockup, Locked Down. Listen every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts, and keep those notifications on to be the first to catch bonus episodes.
And in the meantime, don't fall in love.
And don't get locked up.
First date at Walmart, keeping it low. Told the clerk, don't judge me, I'm on parole. I brought roses, okay, one rose from a gas station. She said, "Aw, babe, now that's validation. We be vibing in a halfway suite. Microwave dinners, romance elite. She my ride or die, she brought me a phone. Even snuck it in once, pre-release song. She hold me down like a key-o with charm. Except she don't mace me or twist my arm. We write vows in Sharpie on my court docs. Judge said no contact, but we beat the clocks. Love after lockup, cuffed and proud. Matching jumpsuits, now we rockin' the crowd. She said, don't mess up, I said, bet. Now we're TikTok stars with no regrets. So here's the love and second chance thrill. From a concrete bed to Netflix and chill. They said, don't catch feelings, but I caught a case of butterflies, girl, not just in one place. Ankle monitor beep. Oops, curfew gotta bounce.